The wind roared across the tarmac as President Donald Trump stepped out of Marine One, cameras flashing and a military band playing softly in the background while rows of proud Marines stood in formation at Camp Grayson, waiting for the president to arrive. Among them was 22-year-old Corporal Noah Reyes, with intense brown eyes and a clenched jaw, standing tall and calm while others buzzed with excitement, knowing the president would soon inspect the troops and shake each Marine's hand. Yet when Trump reached Noah and extended his hand like he had to the others, Noah didn't move, holding his salute and staring straight ahead without blinking, which caused a sudden silence as Trump paused mid-handshake, a flicker of confusion in his eyes before he lowered his hand and moved on, leaving whispers and confusion behind. Though Noah's heart pounded, it wasn't fear, it was something deeper, something personal. And as the media jumped to conclusions and social media exploded with opinions, no one truly knew the real reason, which wasn't about disrespect but a long-hidden truth tied to his family's pain. As the ceremony ended and the Marines were dismissed, Master Sergeant Caldwell stormed over and ordered Noah into the office, slamming the door and demanding an explanation for refusing a gesture from the Commander-in-Chief. But Noah stood firm and respectfully said, "Sir, I had my reasons," only to be told that personal feelings don't belong in uniform. Yet Noah, his voice trembling with emotion, said, "It's not about politics, it's about my brother," revealing that his brother, Lance Corporal Miguel Reyes, had died in Kandahar from friendly fire that was covered up, with no one held responsible, and his family never receiving answers, finally breaking the silence he had carried for years. "I joined to honor my brother, and when I saw the Commander-in-Chief, I thought maybe this was my only chance to make him notice," Noah said firmly, and Caldwell leaned back, silent for a moment before saying, "You know this is going to the top. Be ready for whatever comes next," to which Noah replied with a crisp nod, "I've been ready for years." Outside, the story was already spreading fast, but the real truth hadn't even surfaced yet, and by morning, Noah Reyes was everywhere in the news. Headlines screamed Marine refuses Trump's handshake, with debates raging over whether it was disrespect, protest, or something deeper, while social media exploded with people taking sides, calling him everything from brave to unpatriotic, but none of them mentioned Miguel, his fallen brother. Noah sat quietly in the barracks, staring at the folded American flag on his bed, the same flag that once honored Miguel, who had enlisted right after high school full of hope, always helping others, always sending Noah funny voice messages every weekend, until one night in Kandahar when Miguel was killed. The official report said enemy fire, but months later Noah found a letter hidden in Miguel's things. A letter he never meant anyone to read, one that suggested he was killed by friendly fire, a mistake buried to protect a high-ranking official's reputation. Noah kept that letter, shared it with his mom, and they begged for answers, sent letters, but all they got was silence, no justice. Just formal condolences, and now all the world saw was a Marine who broke tradition, not the reason why. Across the room, Corporal Harris asked, "You going to say something, man? Press wants to talk." But Noah shook his head and replied, "I didn't do it for headlines, I did it for Miguel," and Harris gave a small nod and said, "Then maybe it's time you finally tell that story," and Noah knew he would, because 2 days later, there was a knock on the barracks door, and Lieutenant Gaines walked in with a firm voice, "Corporal Reyes, you've been summoned," and when Noah asked, "Summoned?" the answer stunned him, "To Washington. The president wants to meet with you privately," making Noah's heart race, not a punishment, but a meeting. And as he boarded the government flight, he felt the weight of the moment, unsure of what he would say, but in his pocket was Miguel's old, worn letter, the one piece of truth that finally might be heard. He had left, and the flight was quiet, the weight of everything pressing on his chest. This wasn't just about a handshake anymore, it was about a promise he made at his brother's grave, "I'll find the truth, Miguel, no matter what it takes." When Noah stepped into the room, silence filled the air as President Trump stood behind the resolute desk with his hands folded, 2 aides nearby but keeping their distance. It was a private meeting, and Trump spoke calmly, "Corporal Reyes, you refused my handshake. Want to tell me why?" Noah took a deep breath and answered, "Yes, sir, it's about my brother, Miguel Reyes, killed in action," but the details never added up, and he handed over the letter, which Trump read carefully, his expression mostly steady but his eyes showing something different. "This was hidden?" Trump asked, and Noah nodded, "Yes, sir, we tried to get answers, but nothing ever came," and Trump looked up again, "You thought refusing my handshake would embarrass me?" "No, sir," Noah replied. "I hoped it would make someone listen." After a long pause, Trump nodded slowly and turned to his aides. "I want this investigated, quietly, but thoroughly. If someone covered this up, I want to know." Noah hadn't expected that, and then Trump said gently, "I'm sorry for your brother, and I respect what you did." And though Noah didn't move much, he gave a firm nod, and for the first time, he felt hope. Within days, a military task force was assigned to review Miguel's death, and buried deep in old classified records they found it. Incident 46B, engagement misfire, rewritten as Kia under enemy fire at the request of Lieutenant Colonel Breener. There it was. Clear proof a high-ranking officer had changed the report to avoid blame and protect his career. Noah sat stunned as a Pentagon official explained, "Your brother was helping a wounded civilian when he was hit by friendly fire. It was covered up days later, and tears filled Noah's eyes, so he died a hero, and they buried the truth." And the official nodded, "Yes, but not anymore." Then, in a surprise press conference, President Trump took the podium and said, "I want to speak about an incident involving Corporal Noah Reyes, a young Marine." Donald Trump, addressing the press, held up a photo and said, "This Marine, Lance Corporal Miguel Reyes, was failed by the very system meant to honor him. His death was covered up, and today we set the record straight." Reporters gasped, cameras flashed, and Trump continued, "Corporal Noah Reyes reminded us what honor really means, not just on the battlefield, but in having the courage to speak the truth, even when it costs you." In that moment, the full story was finally known to the nation. When Noah returned to Camp Grayson, Master Sergeant Caldwell met him with a rare smile and said, "You've been promoted, Sergeant Reyes," effective immediately. But Noah didn't smile and replied, "Thank you, sir. But I didn't do this for rank," and Caldwell nodded, understanding. That evening, something unexpected happened. A folded flag with Miguel's name, corrected records, and an official apology were placed in Noah's hands. As the sun set, he whispered, "You were right, Miguel, truth matters." Back home, their mother wept watching the news, whispering, "They finally said his name right," as she placed Miguel's photo on the mantle where it belonged, never forgotten, now remembered as he should be. A week later, Noah received a package containing Miguel's posthumous Silver Star, quietly awarded but never delivered, along with a handwritten note from the president. Some things can't be undone, but truth can still be honored. Holding the medal, Noah was speechless, and later he wrote an open letter. "I didn't refuse a handshake to disrespect a man. I did it to honor my brother. Truth doesn't wear a uniform. It lives in the heart. Speak up, even when it costs something." And that message spread everywhere, with veterans, families, and strangers writing to say, "Thank you, we needed this." Noah didn't feel like a hero, just a brother who kept a promise. At a memorial event, a young recruit whispered, "You gave me courage to ask what really happened to my uncle," and Noah replied, "Don't stop asking, because silence helps no one." Even his critics began to admit it wasn't about politics, it was about integrity, and slowly, the noise faded. Noah placed the Silver Star beside Miguel's grave and saluted in silence, finally feeling peace. Instead of a foreign deployment, Noah was assigned to a special task force reviewing mishandled military reports. And with a quiet smile he said, "We're cleaning house, Miguel." His work uncovered 6 more buried stories like Miguel's, and Noah personally wrote to each family. Truth kept spreading, quiet but powerful. Soon after, a new section was added to the National Memorial, Truth Restored, with Miguel's name etched among others who had been forgotten. At a veterans fundraiser, Trump approached Noah again, and this time Noah extended his hand, which Trump shook firmly. No words were needed, because the gesture said everything. Later, Noah launched a foundation called the Silent Salute to fight for truth in military deaths and misconduct, and what began as a single moment became a movement. One dawn, in a quiet ceremony with no cameras or speeches, Noah stood alone, saluted the flag, and whispered, "This one's for you, Miguel," because some stories don't end with noise, they end with truth, and the sound of a brother's promise finally kept.